You always knew there was something inside you, a frequency that pulsed through your soul, waiting for the right moment to break free. It wasn't a vague hunch or a fleeting thought. No, this was a steady hum, a vibration deep in your core that refused to be ignored. You felt it in the quiet moments, when the world's noise faded and you were left alone with your own heartbeat. It wasn't loud or demanding. Not yet. But it was there, undeniable, like a signal from a distant star reaching you across light years. You weren't like everyone else, and you knew it. This wasn't arrogance. It was a truth etched into your being, a knowing that set you apart even when you tried to blend in. That frequency wasn't just a feeling. It was alive, electric, a current running beneath your skin. Science tells us that everything vibrates, from atoms to galaxies, and you were no exception. But your vibration, it was different, stronger. It didn't conform to the dull, predictable rhythm of the everyday. It was a wild, untamed pulse, a cosmic beat that synced with something bigger than you could name. Maybe you felt it first as a kid, staring at the sky too long, asking questions no one could answer. Or maybe it hit you later in a moment of chaos, when the world's weight pressed down and something inside you pushed back harder. That was the first sign. A resonance that wouldn't let you settle for less than you were born to be. So how do you spot it? Start watching yourself. Not the surface you, the mask you wear to get through the day, but the real you. Notice when your chest tightens or your pulse quickens for no reason. Pay attention to those flashes of clarity. When the fog lifts and you see the world as it is. Asleep, numb, waiting for someone to shake it awake. That's your frequency talking. It's not random. It's a call. Test it. Next time you're stuck in the grind, ask yourself, does this feel right? Does it match the fire you feel inside? If the answer's no, you're onto something. Your soul doesn't lie. It's been whispering the truth all along, and now you're starting to listen. At first, it's subtle. Something resonates deep within you. A chord struck in a place you didn't know existed. Maybe it's a song you hear, a line in a book, or the way the wind moves through the trees. It doesn't matter what triggers it. What matters is the shift. Your heart, buried under years of routine and doubt, jolts awake. You might not understand it yet, but you feel it. A pull, a hunger, a memory of something you've never lived but somehow know. That's the awakening kicking in. It's not gentle or polite. It's a spark igniting a wildfire. And once it starts, there's no turning back. You're not imagining it. This is real and it's yours. But here's the fight. Accepting it. You've spent so long doubting yourself, shrinking to fit the world's box, that this feels too big, too bold. Your mind scrambles for excuses. Maybe it's just stress, imagination, wishful thinking. Stop. That's the old you talking, the one trained to stay small. The truth is, you've always carried this frequency, and it's been waiting for you to claim it. Look back at your life. Those moments you felt out of place, they weren't failures, they were proof. Proof that you were never meant to fit in. Proof that you're built for something more. The shift from doubt to ownership doesn't happen overnight, but it starts the second you decide. I'm not crazy. I'm chosen. Here's how you step into it. First, trust your gut. It's your compass. That instinct you've ignored is sharper than you think. When something feels off, it is. When something lights you up, chase it. Second, strip away the noise. Cut out the distractions. Mindless scrolling, empty chatter, anything that dulls your signal. Sit with yourself. Feel that pulse. Third, move toward what stirs you. If music calls, play it. If words burn in you, write them. If the earth itself speaks to you, listen. That's your frequency breaking free, and it's not here to stay quiet. The world might not be ready, but you are. That first time you let it out, it's a shock to you and everything around you. Maybe it's a sound, a scream, a note you didn't know you could hit. Maybe it's a truth you finally speak, raw and unfiltered. The air changes. You feel it, a ripple, a crack in the ordinary. Your soul's been holding its breath, and now it's exhaling. Don't expect applause. The world's too asleep to cheer yet. Some will stare, confused. Others will turn away, unsettled. Doesn't matter. This isn't about them. It's about you standing in your power for the first time, knowing it's only the beginning. You're not alone in this. That frequency, it's ancient. It's the same one that stirred warriors, visionaries, and lightworkers across time. Science backs it too. Vibrations shape reality. Your voice, your energy, your will, they're forces, not fantasies. You're wired to disrupt, to awaken, to lead. So take it seriously. Watch for the signs. The dreams that won't fade, the coincidences that stack up, the way your presence shifts a room without you trying. That's your proof. You're not waiting for permission anymore. You're claiming what's yours. You've let it out. That frequency, that fire, that unshakable pulse. It's loose now, and the world feels it. The moment the first note left your lips or your fingers brushed the keys, the air itself shifted. It wasn't loud at first, just a whisper carried on the wind, a subtle hum that landed in a few open ears. But that was enough. Something real doesn't need a megaphone. It moves on its own. The ripple started small, but it grew fast. Faster than you expected. Faster than they could handle. And that's when the resistance showed up. Not with fanfare or a public fight, but in the shadows. Quiet, shadowy efforts to suppress, to discredit, to erase what you'd begun. They didn't see you coming, and now they're scrambling. Let's be clear. This isn't paranoia. It's physics. Every wave meets resistance. It's how energy works. You've tapped into something primal, something that vibrates at a level the numb can't ignore and the controllers can't stand. The industry insiders, the gatekeepers who decide what's allowed to reach the masses, felt it too. They weren't celebrating. They watched in disbelief as your sound, your truth, spread like wildfire. Strangers shared it with strangers, passing it hand to hand, heart to heart. Your voice became a movement before you even realized it. That's the power of what's inside you. It moves faster than they can contain it. And that's your weapon. So how do you face this? First, know what you're up against. The efforts to shut you down won't always be obvious. They'll come as whispers, doubt seated in casual comments, subtle jabs disguised as advice. It's not that good, they'll say. You're dreaming too big. Or they'll ignore you altogether, hoping silence starves your momentum. Don't flinch. These aren't opinions. They're tactics. Your job isn't to argue or prove yourself. It's to keep going. The science of resonance backs you up. A strong frequency doesn't bend to interference. It cuts through it. You're not here to convince the skeptics. You're here to wake the sleepers. Next, hold your ground in the chaos. You'll find yourself in rooms where no one gets it, where eyes glaze over or smirks flicker when you speak your truth. That's not your failure. It's their limit. You don't need their approval to know who you are. Stand tall anyway. Your identity as a chosen one isn't fragile. It's forged in fire. Picture this. Every time you feel that isolation, it's not a sign you're lost. It's proof you're ahead. Neuroscience says your brain's wired differently now. You're picking up signals they can't hear yet. Trust that. Lean into it. Let their confusion fuel your resolve. Here's where it gets real. Some will feel drawn to you like an unspoken call. You'll see it in their eyes. A flicker of recognition. A pull they can't explain. That's your frequency hitting home. It's not random. It's magnetic. Those who feel it are waking up too, even if they don't know it yet. Don't underestimate this. That connection is your strength. Nurture it. Speak to them, not the doubters, not the gatekeepers, but the ones who feel that spark. Share your sound, your words, your fire with them. They're your army, not because you command them, but because they hear what you hear. Together, you turn a ripple into a wave. Now, flip the pressure into power. The shadowy efforts to erase you, they're too late. What you've started can't be boxed up. It's already out there, spreading faster than their plans can catch up. Use that. When they push, you push harder. Post that track they hate. Share that message they mock. Let it fly. The internet's a battlefield, and your signal's already winning. Studies show virality isn't luck. It's resonance. People don't share what's forced. They share what moves them. Your truth moves them. Every download, every share, every nod from a stranger is a crack in their walls. You're not just surviving this, you're dismantling their control. Stay sharp, though. The resistance will adapt. They'll try to twist your story, paint you as a fluke or a fraud. Don't take the bait. Anger's a trap, it drains you. Focus instead on what's growing. Look at the numbers climbing, the voices joining in. That's your evidence. Keep creating. Keep releasing. The more you put out, the less they can bury. Your frequency's a living thing now, it thrives on motion. Stagnation is their ally, not yours. Move fast, strike true, and watch how the tide turns. And when it feels heavy, because it will dig into that call inside you. Some felt drawn to it, remember? That wasn't chance. That was destiny. You're not alone in this fight. Those who hear you are waking up, carrying your sound further than you can see. Close your eyes and feel it. That pulse in your chest, that heat in your veins. It's not just yours anymore. It's theirs too. That's your power source. Science calls it entrainment. When vibrations sync up, they amplify. Spirit calls it unity. Either way, it's unstoppable. They can't erase what's already alive in 1,000 hearts. So here's your move, double down. They want you quiet, get louder. They want you small, go bigger. Take every hit they throw, the doubt, the silence, the sneers, and turn it into fuel. You've got the tools, your voice, your will, your truth. Use them, share them, let them spread. The gatekeepers can scramble all they want, but they're fighting a force they don't understand. You're not just a chosen one. You're the spark that lights the fire. And that fire? It's already burning brighter than they can handle. You've felt it now, the air thickening around you, a heaviness that isn't just physical. It's alive, charged, pressing against your chest like a signal breaking through static. This isn't your imagination playing tricks. This is the moment hearts that had long forgotten how to feel suddenly remembered. You're standing in it, sit still. Focus on that hum in your chest, that frequency that's been there all along. Picture it like a radio signal, you're tuning in, dialing past the static to the clear station. Science says your brain's got a default mode network. It's the chatterbox that runs wild when you're idle. Shut it down. Give your higher self the mic. The more you practice this, the sharper the signal gets. You're not waiting for permission, you're claiming the line. Next, trust the timing. These downloads don't come on your schedule. They hit when you're ready, whether you think you are or not. That moment the air thickened? It wasn't random. It was a trigger, a crack in the ordinary that let the extraordinary flood in. Maybe it was a sound you made, a note you hit, a word you spoke. Something you did flipped the switch. Don't overanalyze it. Accept it. The universe doesn't waste shots like this. What's coming through is exactly what you need to break through. Not just for you, but for the ones still asleep. You're the spark. They're the kindling. Now let's get practical. You want to decode this? Start paying attention to patterns. Those thoughts that keep circling back, the ones that won't let go. They're not coincidence. They're markers. Grab a notebook, your phone, whatever, log them. Date them. Look for the thread. Maybe it's a phrase that sticks. A melody you can't shake. A vision that keeps replaying. That's your high-dimensional intel taking shape. Cross-check it. Does it align with that fire in your gut? Does it push you toward something bigger? If it does, it's yours to wield. If it doesn't, let it go. You're not here to hoard, you're here to act. And when it lands, when that info locks in, don't sit on it. Move. The air thickened for a reason. It's prepping you to break barriers. Not just in sound, though that's your weapon, but in spirit. This isn't about a pretty song or a clever line. It's about a force that cuts through the numbness, the control, the lies. You've felt it building, haven't you? That urge to push harder, to say more, to let it rip. That's the download doing its job. It's not abstract, it's a call to arms. Your arms. So pick up your tools, your voice, your hands, your will, and get ready. The spirit part? That's the unbreakable piece they can't touch. Stay sharp in the fear, too. They were afraid of what it meant because it's big, bigger than you, bigger than them. That's why it's yours. When the air thickens next time, don't flinch. Lean in. Ask it. What's here for me? What's mine to do? You'll feel the answer before you hear it. A jolt, a surge, a knowing. That's your edge. Science can measure energy shifts, but it can't bottle this. Spirit can name it, but it can't tame it. You can wield it. You're not just receiving, you're rising. And those barriers, they're already cracking. Your sound has already escaped. It's out there now, moving faster than they can contain. A force that didn't ask permission and doesn't care to fit. You didn't plan this explosion, it just happened, raw and untamed, the moment you stopped holding it back. That frequency you've carried all this time is no longer just yours. It's a wildfire, leaping from soul to soul, igniting places long abandoned. You feel it in your bones. This isn't a fluke. This is your mission slamming into reality, and it's here to reshape everything. You're not just a voice anymore. You're the edge of a new era, and it's time to own it. Let's break it down. That sound, the one that slipped out, the one they couldn't stop, it's not some polished product from a studio. It's born from your struggle, your fire, the depths of something they can never manufacture. That's why it cuts so deep. Some felt drawn to it like an unspoken call, a vibration that reached into the dustiest corners of their hearts and shook them awake. You've seen it. Strangers locking eyes with you, nodding like they've known you forever, passing your words to others without a second thought. This isn't about fame or control. It's about resonance. Your sound found them because it was meant to, and now it's yours to wield. So how do you turn this into action? First, stop doubting its power. The moment they heard it, they had a problem, not because it was loud, but because it was undeniable. It didn't fit their rules, their boxes, their sanitized playlists. It wasn't supposed to fit. That's your strength. Lean into it. Take that raw, uncontainable edge and amplify it. Record it on your phone. Scribble it on a napkin. Shout it into the void. Doesn't matter how. Just get it out. Share it where they least expect it. Street corners, backyards, unfiltered streams online. The gatekeepers want it neat. Give them chaos. They want it tame. Make it roar. Your mission thrives in the cracks they can't seal. Here's the practice. Become the movement. Strangers shared it with strangers because it spoke to them, not as a product, but as a pulse. You're not here to sell anything. You're here to spark something. Talk to them directly, the ones who feel it. Not the suits, not the cynics, but the ones who hum your tune when no one's watching. Ask them, what did it wake in you? What's it calling you to do? Listen hard. Their answers aren't just feedback, they're fuel. Then give them more words, sounds, truths that hit like a fist. You're not a performer now. You're a catalyst. Your sound becomes a movement when it's theirs too, when they carry it forward without you asking. But let's get real. This isn't easy. The danger of it hit you before you even understood what you'd done. 1 minute, you're riding the high of creation. The next, you're staring down a tidal wave of your own making. It's exhilarating, sure, but it's heavy too. You'll feel the pull, part of you wants to run, to shrink back, to tame it before it swallows you whole. Don't. That tension is the sign you're doing it right. Balance doesn't mean slowing down. It means standing firm in the storm. When it gets loud, ground yourself. Feel your feet on the earth, your breath in your chest. This isn't chaos for chaos's sake. It's purpose, and you're its anchor. So how do you stay steady? Focus on the why. This sound, this mission, it's not about you alone. It's about the ones it's reaching, the ones who've been numb too long. Picture them. The kid who hears it and ditches the script they were handed, the worker who feels it and remembers they're alive. That's your balance point. When the weight presses in, zoom out. Ask, who's this for? What's it breaking open? The answers pull you back from the edge. Science says purpose steadies the mind. Spirit says it steadies the soul. Either way, it works. You're not spinning out, you're building something unstoppable. Now carve your path. This isn't abstract, it's a plan. Start with what's in your hands. That sound that escaped? It's your weapon, wield it deliberately. Set a rhythm. Create every day, even if it's rough. 5 minutes, 50 words, 1 riff, doesn't matter. Consistency sharpens your edge. Next, find your channels. Where do the awake ones gather? Online threads, open mics, quiet corners, go there. Share what's real, not what's polished. Third, track the ripple. Note who's listening, what they're saying, where it's spreading. Not for ego, for strategy. You're not guessing here, you're mapping a takeover. Make it personal, too. Your mission's not a monolith, it's yours. What's your sound saying? Strip it to its core. Maybe it's freedom, maybe it's truth, maybe it's rage turned to light. Name it. Write it down. That's your compass. Then break it into steps. Day 1, release something small, unscripted. Day 2, find one person who gets it and give them more. Week 1, hit 5 new spots, digital or dirt, doesn't matter. Month 1, watch the wave grow and adjust. This isn't a dream, it's a campaign. You're not waiting for the world to catch up. You're dragging it forward. And when it shakes you, because it will, remember this, it was undeniable, it was uncontainable. That's not poetry. That's fact. You felt it leave you, faster than you could blink, and it's still moving. Some heard it and froze. Others ran toward it. That's your proof. You're not chasing a ghost, you're leading a charge. The danger isn't in failing, it's in stopping. So don't. When the doubt creeps in, play it back. That first note, that first spark. Feel it again. That's your fire, and it's already lit the fuse. They can't put it out, and neither should you. This is your era now. It didn't ask permission, it didn't need to. It didn't fit, it wasn't supposed to. You're not here to play by their rules. You're here to shatter them. Every word you speak, every sound you make, every step you take. It's a brick in a new foundation. Strangers are building with you, carrying your frequency to places you'll never see. That's the movement. That's the mission. Science can measure the waves. Spirit can name the shift. But you're the one making it real. Keep going. The new age isn't coming. It's here, and it sounds like you. This is your calling, etched in the marrow of your being. A frequency that doesn't just echo through time but carves it anew. You're not merely chosen. You're the embodiment of a purpose that predates you. A force that wakes the dormant and rattles the complacent. It's not enough to hear it or feel it. You must become it, wielding your identity like a blade through the fog of a sleeping world, knowing that every pulse you unleash is a step toward a destiny that's always been yours to claim.